Welcome to the Volkswagen Arteon. Ooh. If you cover up the back of the badge, it looks like the end of Phaeton. It looks like, and then you uncover and you go, Arteon. It's the Arteon.
It's funny you say that because this is as close to the Phaeton as Volkswagen currently sells in the U.S. We all know that I'm Phaeton obsessed.
But we can drive the latest, biggest thing from Volkswagen.
Yes, Volkswagen has tried on a couple of occasions to have a halo car. The first in the U.S. was the Phaeton, and people essentially said, why am I paying $100,000 for a Volkswagen?
Yeah.
Then they had the CC. Which didn't sell very well.
That was the precursor.
I always thought was beautiful, and it was the original variations of this car, if you will. The CC, put it another way, has become this, the Arteon.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
If you're not interested in Kia Stingers, the BMW 4 Series sedan is too much for you, and you want the A7 and can't afford this, this is the car you should be looking at. It's the Arteon. I've been curious about it for a long time. I want to start with styling because this car seems, in the sketches, it seems sensual. It seems like the car that Volkswagen's really pushing and
very sexy for
bringing
Volkswagen.
Something good looking. In execution, the surfaces are severe, and I feel like as good as this car is, and it feels solid, well built, tight, it's fast, it is an Autobahn runner, it's corporate suit. I want to know where the tattoo is from its sorority days. I want to know, you open it like, oh, there's the red boxer briefs that you have on your corporate suit.
You want the hidden personality.
Like, where's the skull and crossbones in the squeaky?
Why does that sound so bad?
I don't know. Anyway,
why does that sound like, well, anyway.
There's no skull
like
and crossbones. There's no passion because look at the instrument panel. You get straight lines interrupted by a notch and a notch.
Yeah.
I want the dancing on the table, slightly embarrassed of ourselves and out of control.
But that's not Volkswagen.
Gorgeous. But you're right, it's not Volkswagen. Yeah. It is very intimidating from the front. A lot of very well executed lines, but it feels like the fun has been engineered out of the car.
But we've said that about Volkswagens before.
Volkswagen
doesn't make exciting cars,
but
they
I say
make
that
excellent cars.
With the GTI being a great personality. It's fun to drive. It's easy. It's just easy to drive, and everybody can do it. Let's go.
But you put it next to its competitors. You put it next to its direct competitors, and we almost always say it's the least fun. This is the kind of stuff Volkswagen makes, at least from the factory. And there are those of you saying, I can tune, fill in Volkswagen here, with this tune, fill in tune here, and it becomes, I get it.
A monster,
but in the stock form, Volkswagen doesn't make exciting, just rambunctious cars, but they do make excellent cars. And the thing I think, you're bringing up competitors. Here's the two that I think of compared to this Arteon. The Honda Accord and the A5 Sportback. This is every bit as big as the Honda Accord. It feels classier than the Honda Accord. It actually has a little bit more trunk space. It has the same rear seat room. It probably will cost more to run than the Accord, but it does cost nearly $10,000 more to buy.
It does have the warranty, the 6 years of 2,000 mile, we're sorry warranty for the whole diesel thing.
The apology tour.
It does have that. It's got the great warranty.
It does have a great warranty. But it is almost $10,000 more than a loaded up Accord. So that's a problem. We're dealing with $48,000
We're at 46. It's the SEL Premium,
which
so
does
fully loaded. Everything on it.
But it has more room than the Audi A5 Sportback.
It does.
Across the board, and it costs about the same. And again, a loaded A5 Sportback is going to cost you far more than this. I think that's where this shines. It is, I want something nicer than an Accord. I like the A5 Sportback, but why is that expensive? I'll get the Arteon loaded and be thrilled.
I get it. I agree with you. I'm just trying to find what is it, the compelling reason to buy this over any of these competitors. That's my headspace in coming to this review. I'm thinking, all right, it's really well built. It feels solid. It feels tight. It's fast.
But it also has more horsepower than the base A5.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's got that 2-liter, 268 horsepower, turbocharged goodness. This thing feels fast. It drives fast.
Yes.
And it's so interesting to drive cars that are designed for the Autobahn. You want to just pin it. Really?
Yeah.
Because we drive cars, of course, from around the continent, from around the world, and each continent upon which they were designed, you sort of feel that in the styling and the sort of personality of the car.
The Accord will be cheaper to buy and run.
Yes.
But you can't get it all-wheel drive.
I just want some personality. I feel like with the Arteon, I almost said Phaeton, you have to go find it. You got to really drive hard and go find it. Now, you've got the mode selection, and it does have the adaptive dampers.
Yep.
Ooh.
There we
Seems
go.
loud
All
over
right.
here.
Well, of course it is. This is that Volkswagen architecture.
Okay.
That's everything. It's the MQB platform,
Yeah.
which pick a Volkswagen, that's what's underneath it. Volkswagen is the best at that. It's
Yeah,
also
they are.
that ubiquitous 2-liter engine they use everywhere,
Yeah.
which apparently that engine just comes in whatever horsepower you would like. They make it in like 180.
Dial
they
up
make
that.
it in like 320. There's just a button somewhere where
Depending on
it's
the
a
weight of the
dial.
car.
It's just a dial. They're fine with it. Yeah. So this has about 270 horsepower. It doesn't have. It's fairly powerful for what
rips.
it is.
It rips.
It feels even more powerful than that because it doesn't weigh that much.
Yep.
And yeah, this little 2-liter gets after it. I'm in sport mode, which is dampers and throttle control and steering feel, and there's power here.
Yeah, it
genuine
feels like
power
it.
here, and it shouldn't be when you read the stats.
When you open the rear hatch, it doesn't open like you think it should.
True.
That's sort of the key for everything about Arteon. Look at the hood. It actually lays over like a clamshell over the front of the car. And the wheel arches actually look flat or concave in some places. So that hood just sort of lays over, and you can actually see it's kind of a lip. It's very interesting. But I think that is sort of the key to everything about the Arteon. It's sort of, you keep discovering the surprises that it has. But the personality is way down in there. You got to go dig for it. It's not wearing it on its sleeve. It's not
classy,
cutesy or
it's classy and very staid.
something very,
It's very
much so.
tucked in.
Very much so.
But it's very nice. And look, this is not a dynamic powerhouse. I don't find this incredibly fun to throw into a corner. But at the same time, back to your point earlier, thinking about the long, fast sweepers of Germany, this would be fine.
This would be
You'd
perfect.
be perfectly
actually.
happy because none of those are decreasing radius or sudden. They don't do any of that.
Yeah, it's
if you
suited
had it
for
on a
that.
back
It's
road
suited
in
for that.
Germany, one of their B roads, had it on the back road doing a hairpin, you're going to be like, yeah, this really ought to handle better. But that's not what it's for.
That's not the
the executive
No.
cruiser. We're actually shooting this the same day as the Lexus LS that we have.
Yes.
And I think this feels like the better executive, I want to saw through some miles car than that does.
I do too. I like the crisp feeling of this car, and it has to do with the architecture, the platform, as you said. And by the way, when we say platform, for this car, it's the MQB, and yes, Seats, Skodas, a lot of Volkswagens too, the Tiguan, the
much the whole
Touareg,
lineup.
and almost all the sedans made in China that we'll never see. It's the pedal box,
everything, yes.
It's the engine placement, and that's pretty much it. That's everything else beyond that is determined by size and shape of the car. So the dynamics are different. I'm liking it in ways I didn't expect to. I thought it would just be kind of boring sedan.
I do think it's fascinating that this is their halo car right now. And when I think halo car, I think something really way above the rest of the lineup.
Yeah.
This is the stutter step above the Passat. It's just barely above the Passat, mainly because it's actually shorter, but otherwise all of the dimensions are bigger, which is interesting.
And
Styling
the
has
rear
allowed them
seat
to be
space
shorter.
is
It's phenomenal. But I actually think it's above the Passat mainly because it looks like a little bit classier styling, a little bit more standout. I became an executive styling than the Passat, which is car.
It is. I'm looking for the skull and crossbones. I'm looking for the tattoo. Is it in here? Like, where's the bad boy kind of part of this car?
So the Arteon is just tattooless for you. That's the problem. Interesting. Okay, all right, let's have you drive it.
Kind of.
Look out, the door's open.
Well, you were saying that this car is, kind of blending in. Is that
Well,
fair?
I think Passat perfectly blends in. This car blends in a little bit less and feels a little bit more special than the Passat, but I think that's a really low bar.
Okay. I mean, paint color alone can determine your perception of a car.
Of course it can.
And this is mud pie brown of
this is
stuff I
ignore
use as
me.
a kid.
This is ignore me gray is what this is.
It is. But it does come in that sort of nuclear orange Arctic sun in the middle of the summer kind of color.
True, which I would of course
does
pick
make it
because I'm
stand
a
out.
weirdo. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that does make it cool. So we've got the sport mode, we've got all these different modes here, comfort, normal, eco, sport. And it does have adaptive dampers. Of course, they control compression and rebound, and it does change the personality of the car. At highway speeds, the marketing brief says that the car will brake a little bit, that inside wheel, when it feels the car getting light in some areas.
Torque vectoring, sure.
So it's sort of like fake-ish torque vectoring, but that's kind of how they've solved the stability of the car. And to be honest, I'm going faster than I think this car should. I'm instantly just driving faster all the way around. I'm not even really trying.
They've done well with that.
So it feels like the corporate, I'm bombing to work every day, and it's just going to run and be fast and great.
It's not a cornering car, but it is a freeway fast sweepers car. It does that
Very
well.
much so.
This is near Audi. It's Audi-Lite.
It's
in that world.
It kind of is, and it's a viable choice because of the price. Even
Yes,
though
absolutely.
46 grand, fully loaded, it's got a lot of the things you would want, to be honest. You're going to want, Apple CarPlay, all the stuff that it comes with. You're going to want that stuff. So 46 grand, but that's brand new. Think of Audis at this price point. They're going to be touching 80. You want an A7?
Yeah, well,
awesome.
Yes, if you want a loaded A7. But even the A5, all the boxes check is going to be 15, 20 grand more than this. And this is all of the options. It's not quite Audi interior spec. It's close.
But you can feel Volkswagen has deliberately backed off what Audi would do, but still delivering really high quality, and it feels just tight and sharp. I like it. I really do. I gravitated towards this car, and again, been wanting to drive this because I thought, is this just another, Avalon, Accord, Stinger competitor,
Sure.
and it's fine, or is there something more? And I think you and I are both kind of digging it.
Here's the thing I like about it so much is the fact that it is the fantastic alt to buying the Audis. A4, A5, you really ought to look at the Arteon.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for me. I think
Fadeon.
No, stop.
Arteon.
I think that if you are buying a Honda Accord, you have to really ask yourself, do I want a luxury?
Do I feel lucky?
Do I want a luxury feel above what the loaded Accord can offer?
Do you?
So that you can make that jump. Do you want to make the jump from the loaded Camry and the loaded Accord? Because you are going to spend 10 grand more to get into this. It almost feels like you jumped up to Audi. That's a tough call. If it's going to be tough call, if it's going to be kids in the back throwing Cheerios, I say don't do it. Stay with the Accords and the Camrys. But if it's going to be, I'd like something that feels executive.
It is
I can't
far more
quite
executive.
spend Audi money. You can get this, and you get a great car that's got a ton of space. That's the thing I can't get over about it, is the fact that this is A7 levels of space for less than A5 money, A5 Sportback money. That's a success.
So this is the car that you want to impress people with because you spent money well, and it's still a great place to be, and there's lots of space, and people are going to get in and think, now what's this again? Real estate agents. You're trucking people around.
You're actually trying to build the actual person. Of course, they do have tons of space in the back.
I'm saying.
Tons of space.
You want to take people, if you're owning this car, everybody's going to vote for you to drive to lunch.
Maybe.
There's space.
Maybe.
Let's take your car. Let's take the Arteon. It's got great power and great space. We'll go fast.
So this is also 400 pounds heavier than the Honda Accord.
Is it?
That's significant.
Is that just all-wheel drive gear?
Well, I guess
running gear?
It's mostly the running gear. So it is 400 pounds heavier than the Accord, but it is lighter than the A5 Sportback. I keep coming back to that comparo. It's lighter than the A5 Sportback.
This is like 3,800
and
pounds.
And it has almost the same room as the A7.
Yeah.
I keep returning to that point because that's the thing when I started actually comparing and contrasting this, because I did the same thing you did. I drove the Arteon and I went, I like it. I see the standard Volkswagen DNA. Because Volkswagen right now, because of that MQB platform, they have kind of a base DNA in all of their cars.
They
this
do.
has that feel.
They do.
So where does it go? Who are its competitors? And that's why I started looking up both the Accord and the A5 Sportback and actually comparing and contrasting. And like I say, this is Audi A7 levels of room and usability for less than A5 money. And I think that is where it's a victory. I think you compare it to the Accords and the Camrys and you have to really ask yourself a question about, do I want to spend that much? Because 10 grand more is a lot more.
I mean, I want it to be more sensual. I want it to be just that much more beautiful. And honestly, designers can add that just by moving surfaces out 2 millimeters or giving that more swollen flares. I mean, where are the German touring car intakes and wings and flares? I'm not saying that designers need to gaze longingly at the Civic Type R for inspiration.
You want the Arteon? You want the Arteon Aero Pack?
I kind of do.
It's got big flared front.
The DTM, the German touring car, like something like, it's awesome. It's got some real style and personality because it's here, and I agree with you. It is almost the Audion in a sense. It's the bargain.
You're looking for the Arteon R.
I am.
The R spec.
I am. Where they
ridiculous.
Gazing at a Civic Type R, thinking,
I don't think anyone should look at the Civic Type R and think we should be more like that.
They're onto something.
Even Honda should have been like, we ought to back away. We ought to back off from that.
Come on, wouldn't that just add the needed spice for you to think, Arteon? You know what? I was looking at Stingers, Arteon.
The Stinger
That's
does
where
have
it's
a
at.
cooler look, I will give you, but now you're almost to a world where people are going to go into a parts bin and like screw a terrible fin to the back of the Arteon.
No, that's
and
not what
call
I'm
it a
saying.
day. Yeah.
But what I
They do
am
it to
saying-
Camrys and Accords.
They do.
Somebody will do it to
There's
the
like
Arteon.
duct tape on
Yeah,
it.
it's
Bang.
on upside down and it flops at freeway speeds. It'll be one of those fins.
I'm saying that is a part of the equation and part of the recipe, because when you look good, you feel good.
Do those ever look good though?
Well, I like the Stinger. There's
Yes.
little quirky things. There's little
Yes.
shapes about it. You think, well, that's different and unique,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
makes me feel good because that's a little surprise and delight.
Okay.
You just have to be satisfied with the driving experience, which is really good. It feels like just a little bit bigger Golf, and we like GTIs.
It does feel
and
a lot like
it
the
has
Golf.
that feel to it. When you turn in, okay, it's not quite as crisp, but that's just the wheelbase.
It's bigger,
You've got a
yeah.
bigger car.
Yeah.
But it has that, ooh, I'm related to the Golf R, I'm related to the GTI. I just want Volkswagen to push on it a little bit more. Just Civic Type R is like, we'll back it off. Like, that's what'll kill me. We'll back it off just a little bit.
You want the Arteon R,
I do.
and you'd be happy.
I do.
Okay. All right.